everyone and welcome to my cartoon about the Weimar Republic. First things first, let's get some proper attire. Much better. I hope you enjoyed my cartoon about the Weimar Republic, so let's begin. What is a Weimar? Well, Weimar is a city around here in Germany. Weimar was not the capital city was Berlin. So then why is it called the Weimar Republic? Well, mainly two reasons. First of all, the first assembly was held there, and second of all, because of communists, which I'll talk about later. That's where the government and the constitution were created. Okay, what now? Now I'm going to talk about the problems, of course. There are mainly two problems, the government and the Treaty of Versailles. Now, who's more at fault is a question up for debate. Matters which source you see, but we'll talk about both. Alright, so let's begin with the government. Here's an oversimplified image of how the government works. I call it the three pillars. First we have the Reichstag, then the president, and then the chancellor. Okay, so then why is it called the three pillars? Well, first of all, because it's cool, and second of all, because that also goes to my second point. The center point is always the strongest because of gravity. Same thing applies here. The president had a lot of power. He was the leader of the army, in charge of foreign policy, and could get rid of anyone he wanted, which is pretty overpowered. The chancellor was in charge of internal politics. The Reichstag made laws and stuff. Neither of them could get rid of the president. President could also serve a term of 7 years and get re-elected, which is insane. Mark Rutte, for example, has been serving for 13.5 years in 3 terms, which is still ongoing. While 2 terms for the president of Germany is 14 years total. Okay, to sum it all up, the president controls the army, he is the head of diplomacy, he can serve a long time, and he has pretty much unlimited power. Which, yeah, is pretty OP. One last little thing about the government was that they were quite centralized. States had less rights than they did during the German Empire, which was an authoritarian monarchy. Alright, now let's get on to our second problem, the Treaty of Versailles. Oh crap, one second, technical difficulty. The Treaty of Versailles could be split into 3 parts. First, the economy and army restrictions. Second, being the large loss of land. And last but definitely not least, the reparations. Let's start with the first. Okay, army restrictions, that makes sense. No army means no war. But what do you mean by economy restrictions? The Allies had trades rights in Germany, which meant that they got free stuff. That meant that the German economy could not recover, rather it would get much worse. Let's move on to number 2, German loss of land. Germany lost a lot of land. The land included was Memel was lost to Lithuania, Gdansk, Poznan, and Katowice to Poland, Danzig was turned into a free city, minor border cities for Denmark, Czechoslovakia, and finally Belgium, as well as Alsace-Lorraine to France, and last but not least, all of their colonies. Last but definitely not least was the Germans had to pay reparations. They had to pay over 60 billion, which is 760 billion today. And because the German economy is not going to recover, that meant that they could not pay the Allies. Alright, now that you have the context for the Weimar Republic, let's begin talking about the history and the downfall of the Weimar Republic. Crap. Weimar Republic began with a rocky start. Man, it's a wonderful day being the Emperor of Germany. Kablooey. Abdicate. Fine. What you just saw was the forceful abdication of Kaiser Wilhelm II, the Emperor of Germany. Now it's time to meet the maker, Friedrich Ebert. He is the same guy who announced the German Republic to the people of Germany from the balcony of the Reichstag. But he actually wanted a constitutional monarchy. But because of the Kaiser's abdication, as well as pressure from other politicians, his dream could not come true. Oh yeah, and these guys, the ones who just abdicated the emperor, they're Spartacists and they just took over Bavaria. They didn't dislike the government, they just butt heads. Still made him want to suppress the communists, so he made a couple alliances, mainly with General Wilhelm Gruner as well as the Freikorps, who believed that Germany never lost in battle, rather it was backstabbed by German politicians. But they also hated the communists, so they made an alliance. The Freikorps was mainly made up of World War I veterans, who were extremely experienced and wiped the floor with the communists. However, because of that, the communists said that Ebert was a traitor of the people. This made him hate them more. So he got rid of communist politicians. He started getting rid of all of his enemies in the Reichstag, which made him powerful enough to become chairman. However, this was less monarchic as he still listened to the views of his underlings. To make sure the communists could never take power, he decided to run for president. And he did very well. The communists tried that too. However, they were less successful as people still were fresh in mind about what they did, as well as the communists were still kind of violent. In the election, Ebert won by a landslide, with the communists still gaining some support, however not enough to beat him. He went to Weimar and founded the Weimar Republic. Ebert had finally managed to achieve his dream of creating a Germany. However, to make sure the communists could never take power, he made the position of chancellor. But because there were so many chancellors and they all looked just like him, I'll just use the same minifig. Social Democrat coalition had an absolute majority. However, soon enough, other parties began to grow away from the Social Democrats, preferring a more centrist view. Soon enough, the coalition was taken over by centrist Democrats. However, they encountered their first problem: the French wanted him to pay the first of the reparations. Other politicians told him not to pay, however, knowing the risks, he decided to not listen to them. He took all of the money that Germany had and paid it to the French. He needed more money, and the perfect chance arose when people revolted in Katowice. So he decided to intervene, sending in the army. However, France intervened, so they backed out. France eventually gave all the non-industrious land to Germany. Meanwhile, the Freikorps were destroying the communists. However, realizing no one was there, they tried to do a coup and siege down Berlin. When he returned, he sent in the army, and because the Freikorps didn't have the support of the people, they lost, and they were disbanded. The capital was sieged down, the entirety of the rest of the country pretty much collapsed. Communists made socialist states, and others took advantage of the situation. The French intervened, as well attempting coups, but because of making promises as well as using military action, he narrowly avoided civil war. Ebert had fallen to the hands of death, and the Chancellor became the president. He had to fix many more problems, and it was not going to get easier. The Americans decided to give Germany some money, because they were scared Germany was going to fall to communism, as well as an industrialized Germany means a rich Germany means a very rich America. They didn't just have enough to pay back the French, but they also had enough to recover their economy. The Chancellor had to step down and let elections take place, and a new candidate, Hindenburg, won by a landslide. Hindenburg was an ex-World War I general, and he just became the president because of the recovered economy. The communists, as well as Adolf Hitler, was destroyed. Wait, who's Adolf Hitler? Because he's going to be a part, I'm going to talk all about him. Adolf Hitler is a far-right ultranationalist. He was born in Austria, however, he moved to Germany, joining the German military, becoming a delivery guy. But after Germany was defeated, to live in Germany, growing to hate the communists. However, he didn't like the Freikorps either, because they were monarchists, and he thought the monarchy was weak. Since most communists were Jews, he began to hate Jews as well. After taking power in a party, he decided to try to march on Berlin. He was stopped. American economy just died. And because of that, so did the German economy. And because the American economy died, so did the French. French and the Americans needed money, and how convenient Germany exists. So the Americans asked for their money back, and the French asked for more reparations. Hey Hindenburg, I have a solution. We can print money. Didn't we already do that? Oh, yeah. What I didn't mention in part 3 was that Germany began printing a lot of money. And I'm gonna talk about it now because it's gonna be relevant. It's not lazy writing. Ebert, I just found a loophole. We can print money. Genius! We're gonna be rich! But this would cause hyperinflation, which basically means money will be worthless. So they began printing money. And then more. And then more. And then more. And then more. And then eventually they started to use paper. And they started printing more. And more. And more. And more. A lot more. Soon enough, one hot dog became billions. But hey, at least we can still pay back the French. It says by weight in gold. Shit. Let's not do that again. So they couldn't print money. They needed to find a way to pay back all of their debt. What if we don't pay? Hitler decided to use the democratic system. However, he was still no match for Hindenburg, who still won by a landslide. However, seeing the writing on the wall, he knew he had to make a deal with the devil. He made Hitler the new chancellor, thinking he could control him. Because of the Reichstag fire as well as his own death, Hitler had nothing to stop him, proclaiming himself Führer. Hitler ended the Weimar Republic. Finally began his totalitarian regime, which would destroy all of Europe. The end.